Hello everyone, my name is Ty Dearman. Long time no see. It's been what? A year and 6 months? Something? I'm not productive. I have a job, and also when I have free time I sit around and either cook or I play video games. So that's how it is. But I'm here now, and I have a very unproductive and unuseful video to make, which is a follow up to my previous video on Hades character design. It was mainly on Hades 1, but there was Hades 2 characters floating around in there as well. That was, I think, early in the beta of Hades 2, or at least only about halfway or something like that. Now, there's been a few more updates. I have not yet played the game. I will play it at some point soon in the future. Maybe if I can be fucked, I'll actually record it or something. But I was kind of shocked to log into my YouTube account and notice that people had been watching the video that I made. That was fun. So I thought, completely impulsively, I've literally done no prep other than downloading some new portraits. As I said, I've not played the game. I'm not familiar with any of it. But I kind of just wanted to do some first impressions. I have a million different ideas for other videos I can do. Remember that Typhlosion story from last year? I wrote a script for that and I never recorded it. That's going to be on the list. But for today, very, very briefly, I want to do some first impressions of the new characters that got added either later in the beta or eventually sort of revamped for the 1.0 release. Since then, I know there was some drama with like the ending and there's been some updates. That's not important to character design. Anyway, yippee! Let's get into it. Woohoo! Buttons, there we go. Zeus. So the first couple really have not changed at all. My opinions of them haven't really changed. So, I mean, go watch my first video for that. One thing I want to note is that, just to start off here with the Zeus thing, is that a few characters have had slightly polished design, well, not design, slightly polished art style here. So you've noticed Zeus, woohoo, those stark black shadows, that shading from the first game is not quite as significant as it was originally, but it's been brought back, and I feel like that does pull together the image a lot more. I don't think you have to do the exact same thing as the first game just because that was popular. I think doing new things, going for a more colorful style, characterizing your characters differently. I'm so well spoken, aren't I? I think that's fine, but I think bringing that bit of depth there, just like especially like around his waist and things like that, works out a lot better. Zeus, still prefer Hades 1. Poseidon is exactly the same. There was no changes there. Same for Demeter. Same for Artemis. I will say for Artemis, I've since learned that she is a lot more affable. She is more open in her body language. She's much more friendly because she's designed to be already familiar with Melanoe, which makes sense from a character design perspective. Fucking... Don't mind me flobbing my words. But yeah, I think that actually makes a lot more sense for why she would be portrayed that way. I also do quite like the shine on a little headband. I don't have the moon. I don't have Selena on this slideshow, but I know she does play a part in this game. So I like that that's being emphasized, even like very, very subtly here. Aphrodite is the same. I very briefly looked back and I called her Artemis a few times in my first video. No one corrected me, so it's fine. Hephaestus, he's still physically attractive. Apollo, still good. I think the sun imagery is still very strange how important that's become in modern culture, but whatever, not important. Hermes. So, I don't have a lot to say about Hermes. The design in Hades 2 is, for all intents and purposes, kind of identical. All the core features are definitely there and basically the same. I'm noticing literally as I speak. In Hades 2, he's got that little, very cute little blushing tortoise coming out of his bag. He's a god of messages. Obviously, we're pushing forward the sort of delivery part of this here with the bag and the scrolls and all that sort of stuff there. The tortoise is a big part of his original myth. He is very mischievous, just to really cut it short. And at one point, he scoops a tortoise out of its shell and then sort of uses that as a basis for a lyre, also like a harp, a stringed instrument, and then gives that to Apollo. He creates that instrument. So that's very much a part of his symbolism. And I'm realizing now that was in his Hades 1 design. He's a little tiny little fellow in his bag there. I didn't notice that. I'm a fool. In any case, looks is pretty much the same. I like his clothes are black now. I suppose that's hearkening to his psychopomp nature. Psychopomp meaning a figure who takes spirits from the living world to the underworld. I guess that's communicating his sort of connection there a little bit. But that's maybe they just thought it would work better aesthetically. I don't know. Ares. Okay, now we're getting into characters that I have not actually talked about yet. So Ares is one that I've started off with this guy because his design is pretty much the same, but I actually really do like the way that they're pushing it. So in Hades 1, that little design on the left there, I fully forget what I said in the original video, but he's quite composed from the way he speaks to the way that his armor is put together. Very much like, yes, I'm a fancy man and I kill you with sword in fight. Which is cool for a character, but if you're specifically trying to adapt Ares, I feel like you're leaving some interesting stuff on the table there. Hades 2 is, I think, a very subtle change that makes it very satisfying to me, that I think does a really good job. He loses sort of bird imagery, the sort of scavenger bird imagery on his armor, which I think is a bit of a shame. But other than that, the design is basically the same. He's still got the helmet with the marks on it. He's still got those red highlights. He's still got this sort of withered laurel wreath on his head there, and that's all very cool. But very, very subtle changes. He's got notches. He's got scars. He's got marks on his armor, and even here or there on his body, which is significant. He's got a red mark, and by red mark I mean he's got a splotch of blood on his face. And elephant in the room, address me, his hands are coated in blood. His sword is no longer sort of miscellaneously red in the implication of bloodshed. It literally just has blood on it. And I feel like this is very good for Ares, because as I said in the last video associated with that red mist, in ancient Greece, that imagery of the red mist is the sort of battle fervor that comes over people when they're in a fight. Not necessarily like rage, but just sort of losing yourself to violence in war, which is part of the reason why Ares was not worshipped in the same way as Athena, for example. He is still composed, he's still put together, he's not horrifically wounded, he's not fighting for his life here, but it seems like someone who is now has power, but even though he has it, he's going into battle recklessly because he wants that blood on his hands. Because he's smirking now. He's not necessarily just smug, he's like, yes, I'm fucking killing people. I really like it. Very subtle change that I think is really quite good. His sword is interesting. I don't know why he has that sort of curved design to his sword. It's not really... Oh, I'm really being a stickler bitch now, aren't I? It's not the exact same shape as a Greek Xiphos. Whatever, it's not important. He's got a cool sword. Athena. Athena is another one who is essentially the same, but I quite like. So, Athena here, same little situation. She's composed, she's put together. Again, in the previous one, she was ornamented, but she had a very strong stance, strong gaze. Her hair was tied up. She has that owl as the symbol of wisdom. In Hades 2, how many different... there's 4 big changes. First off, she has a spear. So now she's replaced that symbol of wisdom, the owl, with a spear. Because again, we're talking about wartime, we're talking about conflict in the story of Hades 2. Similarly, she now has, instead of that sort of Aegis motif, that sort of face of Medusa, being relegated to just a tiny little highlight on her breastplate, sort of around the waist in Hades 1. Now she has the actual shield in Hades 2. She's got her classic Aegis shield, Aegis, if you want to be a real stickler for ancient Greek pronunciation. I was going to say something else, but I just noted she does actually still have the owl. She has the cute little owl on her spear. That's very adorable. It's incorporated. I mean, see, that's good design. She's keeping her iconography, but now it has become a symbol and become associated with wisdom in warfare, in battle. Of course, the other big change is she has her helmet on. It's not necessarily a headpiece. She has that Corinthian helm on, and it's obscuring her face in a way that I think is really striking, that I quite like. Her helmet is, I think, actually probably her most identifiable feature, right after the owl. If you see a woman with a Corinthian helm on, it's probably going to be Athena when you're looking at ancient iconography in Greece. We get tricky there when we're talking about Aphrodite of Corinth, and then when we get to Rome, it's Minerva and it's Roma, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. But very striking symbolism for Athena. Very appropriate for this setting. I also like that her hair is in braids now. Her hair was still tied up and pulled back and proper in Hades 1, but again, wartime, she's getting real serious, she's getting practical, and I like that even though she is put together, you get a little bit of fierceness, honey. No, you I don't know how to say it. The idea of those braids sort of whipping about is like, she's put together, but she is serious. She's about the business. Keep on forgetting to emote with my model. I'm getting too into it. Oh. Diva Queen Slay the Boots House Down. Hera. Oh. I actually was not expecting... people don't often include Hera. I actually don't know what her characterization is in the game. She's not like super exciting if you're not familiar with myth in terms of her associations. Like goddess of marriage is not going to really sort of measure up to god of war in terms of immediate appeal. She's very interesting. I actually really like her, but she's not someone that's often represented in popular culture, I think. But I adore this design. I won't talk about everything that's going on here. Sidebar. Hera in Dislight. I've not played that game. It's a gacha mobile game. Also a very good Hera in it. Anyway. This Hera, obviously her main motif and her main color scheme is based on a peacock. That is just a symbol of Hera when it comes to her ancient iconography, her ancient literature. She's associated with the peacock quite a lot, so she has that sort of feathered aspect to her hair, to her headdress, to her dress. And that's really cool. I would say, actually, she's equally, if not more, associated with cows. She was referred to as sort of cow-eyed Hera quite a lot. Which I think is pretty. Cows actually have really gorgeous eyes. I'm a country boy, can't you tell? But peacock is more visually striking, so I understand why they chose it here. And it looks really good. It looks slay. Sorry, I hit my glass. That's just good, and it makes sense, and it's cool, and it's a good choice. As for the individual small little touches, that headdress, I love how that's being emphasized. That was a really strong symbol of Hera, because if you find a female figure in ancient Greek iconography and she's got this grand headdress, probably symbolizes a woman of authority, usually a goddess, usually Hera. You find other examples. Hygeia is one who has that sort of thing going on, but is often Hera. But the main thing I want to pull into here are the rings throughout her design. She's got ringed hoop earrings. She's got 2 interlocked rings right around her sort of neck area there, her collarbone, and her staff are those sort of knotted, intertwined rings as well. Now, ancient Greece didn't really have marriage with all the bells and whistles that we have today, and not necessarily all the same symbols you'd have in other cultures. But in general, you do find intertwined rings being a symbol of marriage, or just rings in general, of course. I mean, wedding rings, duh. I actually was at a wedding like a month ago, and it was my job to handle the rings, and I didn't know that until the day before, but I didn't throw them into a bush somewhere, or like accidentally swallow them. So thank you, Hera, you really helped me out, and I'm glad that it's incorporated into your design, I think. Before I started recording, I was definitely going to be like, oh, I'm impulsively doing this after a day of marking, and the day before I have to go into the office and work admin. This will take 20 minutes. I like talking too much. Anyway, Hera, good job. You look fucking great. You may have the sort of may I talk to the manager haircut, but I love how your sort of feathered neck thing goes up to your chin. That's really a good look. Okay, let's go in the other direction. Oh, I hate this design. Is fucking ass. This design fucking sucks. I fucking hate. Sorry, let me be clear. Hades 1 design, good, pretty good. He's got the Thyrsus staff, he's got that grape imagery, he's got his drink that's sort of intoxicating in that smoke. He's got the sort of animal print cloak, which is reflecting his association with panthers. He's reclining because he's parties, he's having fun. Good. I think the buffness is weird. Like I know that in classical imagery, the gods would pretty much always be buff. I just think if you're doing a modern interpretation, there's better ways to show off Party Boy than like shredded. But that's a mild point. It's not overwhelming as a design feature. It is in Hades 2, where they decided we were going to get our good design that everyone liked and make it bad. Okay, so... Okay, bear with me here. So Hades 2. What's happening here? What I think happened, they heard that everyone was like, wow, Hades 1 Dionysus. Everyone thinks he's hot. Let's make him more hot. And then they failed. Sorry, that's really mean. I'm not a character designer. You don't have to listen to me. But I do think they did a bad job. He's attractive to people in the first one because he's relaxed. He's sort of, again, you've got a peak of the thigh and a peak of the butt there. Again, he's so casual and he's like, hey, Zagman. Oh. Hades 2, he's even more jacked. And now he's just totally naked. Totally naked. You don't get the invitation, you don't get the suggestion of like looseness and invitation and friendliness. He's just like, haha, what if I showed you my six-pack and my legs? Wouldn't that be hot? No, it wouldn't. Dionysus. He still has the leopard print situation, but now it's a Speedo, which, like, I get it theoretically, but I don't think it works. I don't think that fits his vibe. He's not really supposed to be a jock. Also, sidebar, I'm not going to get into this. They're like, what if he had a bulge? But what if it looked like he had a tennis ball in his pants? I know they can't outline glands in Hades 2. It's not that kind of game. But it doesn't work. I do like that the well, I said glasses. The cups he's holding, they're called kylixes. That is the traditional shape for an ancient Greek wine drinking glass. Wine drinking cup. Fuck me. That's cool. He's got two of them because he's drunk. Also, I'm just noticing now he's sweaty. Ugh. 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 More skin doesn't mean better design, and it definitely doesn't mean hotter. Next. Show me the next one. Oh, Chaos, you've come to save me. You've come to save me. Okay. Chaos in the first game. Again, go back to my first video. They are supposed to be weird. They're supposed to be otherworldly because they are what existed before there was existence. So they're strange. They've got a strange hairstyle. They've got a strange body. Well, they've barely got a body. You've just got shapes there. Very, very effective. This is one instance where I think Hades 2 does more conventionally attractive, quote unquote, in a way that works. So Chaos is no longer an amalgamation of fleshy mass. Chaos, they are now in a suit, for lack of a better term. You've got sort of big long coat tails. It's not, I don't know, that's not a suit jacket, whatever. In sort of modern day clothes here. Which you might think me is more basic. You might think it's like, oh, you put the person in a suit, put an androgynous person in a suit, haha, hot person. I don't really think so. Specifically because the modern aesthetics here, once again, really put Chaos out of time, out of their own context, because they're beyond it. They're both before it and they're beyond it, and it is really interesting to me. They still have all the same design elements. They've still got the eyes. They've still got the fleshy masses on their shoulder. They've still got the world now embedded in that little earring. And I love that you still have a bit of the freakiness, is that their old head is in their hands with a little fetus coming out of its mouth. So you still have that sort of freaky body horror in the idea that Chaos has evolved, has discarded their previous form, and now they're taking on this current form here. So I just think it comes together really well, and on top of it, it's visually appealing. I think there's ways to create characters who are visually appealing, maybe even conventionally appealing to a modern sensibility, but still really playing into the aesthetic and the themes that you want to be messing around with. So, good job. I think this is very smart. Persephone! I really don't have much to say here. Persephone in the first game has those, I believe Kore is like... So in myth, Persephone in the underworld is called Persephone, and on Earth is called Kore, or Maiden, and that's how you sort of distinguish those two roles in mythos, in religion. I believe in Hades 2, they established that Kore is like her dead name equivalent, which is actually quite interesting. I think that's a fun way to take that ancient distinction and make it into like a thematic focus. Like, I know that Demeter has to work on that. That's fun. It's not fun for Persephone. It's fun thematically, and it's fun in terms of writing. Good choice. In terms of design here, Persephone, you can see her leaning into the sort of synthesis of identity here. So she's got the green. I think the sort of plant print on her dress, on her robe there, is a little bit... I think that's too much. Like, she has all the plants in her hair, in that basket, to show her association with the natural world in Hades 1. But also that makes sense for things she would literally be holding, because she has a garden. She doesn't have that in Hades 2. I don't know in what context you're seeing her like this. This is probably post-game spoilers. And if it is, I'm sorry. But I think you don't need that. I think the green brings out that plant imagery enough. But on top of that, you have the sort of wreath associated with the Hades family, the chthonic royal family, and you have those little gem earrings which are associated with Hades in the underworld. So that's just good. That's just nice. That's like nothing fancy, but it communicates how her character has grown and how time has progressed, I assume. Love that. She doesn't have the bra from from Hades 1, the ancient version of a bra, which is on the outside. That's fine. That's really not important. Okay, I think this is the last slide. There's not all the characters from Hades 2, obviously. I think a lot of the ones in like the camp zone probably require a bit more context for me to get into them. But I want to talk about these two because I like them. I know I'm not going to go left to right because I'm crazy. I'm going to start with Odysseus on the right here. Good design. So Odysseus is in combat adventurer gear. Odysseus, obviously, he went to the Trojan War, but he's most famous for the Odyssey, when he takes 10 years to go home. So he has that sort of warrior outfit. I do like the little panelled look. It's very much harkening back to that sort of earlier style of armor. It's not classical exactly. It's got that sort of more early look. I don't know a better word for it. But I like that. Again, he's got that cloak is a big part of his silhouette, which very much sort of communicates the idea of a traveler. More obviously, he's got pouches. He's got maps. He's navigating. He's lost. He's going around. Woohoo! Good for him. The big part of Odysseus is he is not like usual Greek heroes. He is smart. He is cunning. He is witty. And I think that's communicated very well here and very subtly, not only by the fact that he's got a lot of scrolls and shit. He's got a nice little gentle smirk, but mainly he is balancing that dagger on one finger. That gives tricksy. That gives coordinated. That communicates so much about him in that one pose. So I'm like, good fucking job. Good. A small little note that other people might not be aware of is his headband is not just a headband. A simple band, I'm gesturing on my forehead as if you can see that. That simple band around the head is a diadem. That is a symbol of royalty in ancient Greece. And Odysseus was the king of Ithaca. He was the ruler of Ithaca. So very much communicating that idea here, which is like, good job there, works out for you. Now I'm going to go to the left. Heracles. Ooh, Heracles is fun. Heracles is ridiculously popular in the modern day, obviously. Hercules, very, very, very popular guy. I would say he was equally, if not more popular in the ancient world. He was overdone like crazy, but he kind of earns it because he's cool. Like Odysseus, Heracles is not a standard hero. He is unusual because he's associated with brute force. He's a buff motherfucker and he will beat your ass. And you find that in his imagery. And this is an instance where it makes sense for your guy to be fucking jacked. It's not Greek per se, but if you want a good idea of this, look up the Farnese Hercules. Farnese Hercules. He's jacked as fuck. He's got a big wide chest and he's got a nice little round butt. It's not important. Anyway, they've got the physique spot on here. As for the rest of his imagery, he has the Nemean lion as like a hood. That is very, very common. I think if they didn't put that on Heracles' design, they would be, pardon my French, fucking stupid, because it's cool and it's identifiable. You don't have to be historically accurate. That's like not really important in terms of character design quality. But it looks cool. Why not include it? He also has his other big symbol is the club. So right on his back there, he's got a big old club. Because again, he is not Well, he is skilled and he's smart. Like, he has those capabilities, but he's not using a spear. He's not little fucking John Vanilla over here. He's going to beat you over the head with a fucking club, a big old stick. So he has that. I do like that he has all of his different weapons, again, to show that he's very much combat oriented, very much strength. Again, he's bare chested, he doesn't have armor. His sort of ornamentation are just bare ropes. It's getting those sort of classic fantasy tropes and symbols of barbarians, which actually kind of come from Heracles, so he's allowed to do it. I like all that. It would be nice if he had a bow. That was one of his major symbols in the ancient world, was the club and the bow, which again is really pushing forward just how unusual he is. Greek heroes did not have bows. They were symbols of cowardice. Kind of. Let's not get into it. But I do understand that would not really maybe transfer in a modern sense. He's supposed to be a big buff brawler. Makes sense that he's got all of these melee weapons. He's got a club, he's got a spear, he's got a big old sword. So, cool, good job. I like his posing. He looks sinister. I actually don't know what his deal is in Hades 2. This posing makes me feel like he's an enemy at some point, like Asterius was in Hades 1. And I'd like to see what's going on there. Now, I don't have a concluding slide because I made this in about 4 minutes and I'm going to... Oh, fuck, I'm going to have to go to sleep because I have work really early tomorrow. Anyway, this is my first impressions. Fucking sorry. I know Odysseus has the same sort of Selena imagery that Artemis has, and probably other characters. Anyway, that's not important. I'm going to leave it off here. These are my first impressions. I'm definitely going to play Hades at some point and then return. I'm going to talk about these characters in context in terms of their place in the story. And there's a whole bunch of other characters. There's Eris, there's Selena, there's a whole bunch of interesting... Kronos is in here as well. Is also interesting. There's a lot of different characters I want to talk about. Icarus. I know Icarus is in there. I know you can romance him. Funky. I'm going to return to this later. I've been talking for way too long, so I'm going to stop now. But thanks. Bye-bye. History Buck. This is the name of this series. I forgot to say that at the top. Okay. Maybe I'll make more videos later. Bye.